All right. All right. Super glad you guys are here. You guys are my early birds. Thank you so much for showing up on time. I'll give it a couple minutes because I know sometimes with technical stuff, it takes a little bit to log in, what have you. But I'm going to go ahead and do the final things here to get everything going. All right, so if you could see my screen, I'd appreciate it. Let me know. Give me some kind of signal on the chat. All right, Sarah, thank you so much. All right, let me go back there. Sometimes these are a little bit tricky, so bear with me. I will once in a while pop in the chat to see who's maybe asking a question. I definitely want this somewhat have some interaction here. So I see a few more people joining. Welcome, welcome. Let's give it a couple more minutes, guys. So if you have any questions, make sure you just throw it in the chat. Let me know. Perfect. I see Bernadette. I see Simon. Awesome. Give it a couple more minutes here. All right. Do you guys see my screen? It should say, let's connect on social. Do you guys see my screen? If you could put something in the chat, that would be awesome. And if my chat's blocking the screen, let me know too. All right, I see a couple of people. All right, there we go. Yeah, definitely, Bernadette. All right, let me check a couple more things here. So you guys could hear me, you could see the screen, everything's good. Yes? Yes or yes? And like I said, feel free to use a chat. That would be awesome. All right. Thanks, Tyler. I can see you and the screen. Perfect. All right. Good. Good. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to respect your time and others if they show up a few minutes into it. No big deal. And so let's go ahead and get started. And please, like I said, use the chat. If you guys have any questions, I will answer them as I go through all this information. There's going to be a lot of coverage here, a lot of ground we're going to cover today regarding hiring a VA, hiring an assistant. And so if there's anything that you want me to address, we will have a Q&A. Towards the end, we'll have a good quick Q&A. So make sure you save the long ones towards the end because I'll probably cover them throughout the presentation. All right, so quick disclaimer, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a tax pro. I want to put that out there. In addition, I'm not a CPA, an insurance pro, lender, financial advisor. Basically, I want to put that out there. It's a CYA, cover my assets. So there might be some recommendations here. I might be affiliated with a company or not, but I want to put that out there that if you need additional advice, be sure to check with the professionals in your corner just to double check what I might have to share here. So let's go ahead and talk about how to hire an assistant or your virtual assistant. Okay, how to hire your assistant or virtual assistant. So what's the typical problem, we might say? What's the typical problem? You might have not enough time, lack of skills, doing one too many things or working too much on the business versus in the business. A lot of you, you're grinding away. I'll mention realtors a lot because those are the people who I deal with the most. So they're the people I coach the most. Realtors are busy working they're prospecting, they're going on appointments, what have you, or vice versa. They're working too much on projects. They're setting up their YouTube page or YouTube channel. They're setting up their Facebook page. They're working on emails, et cetera, et cetera. These are the certain things we're going to be talking about a lot today. Okay. Remember this, if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. If you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. This is one of the big takeaways, hopefully, that you will remember. If there's anything you're going to remember, you should remember this one the most, okay? Share this training. If you really like what you heard today, or you heard something that really resonated and you think one of your colleagues might want that information, by all means, sharing is caring. I would really appreciate it if you would just forward this information to them. Who's this training for? As I mentioned, I do coach a lot of realtors. I mentor a lot of people in the real estate space, but this isn't going to be just about real estate. This is for somebody who's a solopreneur, meaning it's just you against the whole world, or that entrepreneur who's looking to level up and build it to, X amount of employees or X amount of team members. I guarantee you, a lot of the training today that I'm going to share with you could help you level up in whichever capacity, whether you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur looking to build up one business or multiple businesses. So who's Joe Mendoza, you might ask? Some of you don't know me. I saw the registrations earlier. I actually don't recognize some of the names. So I really appreciate these folks that are joining us that I don't know you at all. I am going to also, if you see in the chat or, towards the end, my website, growwithjoemendoza.com, feel free to reach out. I'm a California licensed broker since 1998. Over 24 years I've been in the business. I'm a worldwide coach to over 1,000 students, trained one-on-one over 10 years. I currently do still do that. It's one of my biggest passions. There's actually some people here on the line today that I coach that I really, really appreciate you being here. Tyler, Sarah, a few others who are here with me. I'm also a real estate investor. So this is also one of my passions is, you eventually want to build up a portfolio to create passive income. I'm in the same boat. So it's definitely one of the things that I love talking about, coaching, training. And if you were at my last training, I did talk about real estate and I went in hard and heavy. If you missed that one, be sure to go onto YouTube and watch that video because I shared a lot of golden nuggets on that one. I did author this book on real estate. It's called Flex with a Plex. You can check it out on Amazon. So if you're getting into investing, I highly recommend this. This is a great starter book. So if you're looking to get in real estate as an investor, this is definitely a book you should check out on Amazon. So when did I first start to hire? When did Joe Mendoza start getting into the game of hiring an assistant, hiring a VA? As I mentioned, I've been in real estate a long time. I could share the experience today about how I hired my first real estate assistant part-time. I started in the virtual assistant game long time ago. I want to say it was probably around 2010, plus or minus around that time. So you could tell I've been in the business in hiring assistants for over 12 years. My first VA media company team, I hired about a couple of years ago in India. So I did found a team. They actually randomly sought me out. And then I, took a leap of blind faith and I hired them and it worked out pretty good. You could see some of my collateral or content online is still out there is because I had multiple VAs helping me. Currently, I have 4 VAs in the Philippines that are helping me with a lot of the things that I do. As I mentioned, I have multiple businesses and investments. There's no way, no possible way that this one person could do it without the amazing help that I have in my team in the Philippines and a few other people on my team. When should you hire? Okay, this is a very big question you want to answer, and I'm sure why you guys are here today. When should you hire? So automatically, I would say you want to level up. You're looking to level up. You're basically at this space where you're feeling like you hit a plateau and you want to get to that next level. Your pipeline may be full. Like you're hitting limit. You might be like, well, one of the folks on this training today, Sarah, I mean, she's hitting stride. She's a very, very top producer. And this is a point where, there's only 24 hours in a day. You can only work 24 hours in a day. And then next day, I mean, you might be pooped out because you worked so hard. This is a time you might want to start considering hiring an assistant or VA. Your clients may be starting to complain. Okay, if you're hearing this chatter from your clients, man, you're not answering the phone. You haven't responded to my email. You missed it, blah, blah, blah. What's going on? If you hear your clients complaining, that should be a clue. That should definitely be a clue why you might want to consider hiring an assistant right away. And I'm so glad you're here. Your spouse or kids may be complaining. Dad, you're not at my ball game. You missed my practice. How come you're always on the phone? That might be a sign that you need an assistant. There's several people that I coach that they say that to me all the time where hey, you know what? I had to, I missed my kid's practice. I missed my kid's game. And that's a clue that you're getting so busy. You need to start delegating. Okay. Your level of service is slipping. If you hear those clients complaining, or maybe, I mean, you might have a 1-star review. That happened to me. It happened to some of the best of us a while back. I could tell you, my service did slip, and sure enough, I got a 1-star. So once in a while, you'll have these Yelp reviews, you'll have these Google reviews, you'll have these Zillow reviews. If you see somebody give you a 1-star, you should take that as a blessing. You should say, wow, thank you so much for pointing that out. That might be the wake-up call you need to really start turning things around. Okay. Another time where you should probably consider hiring an assistant is if you have 6 months of reserves, meaning let's just say California, I'll take California's numbers, right? Some people, their cost of living, house, car, food, et cetera, is $10,000 a month. To run their business is about $10,000 a month. You do Zillow ads, you do Realtor.com ads, you're buying leads, you have a little bit of staff. Well, you want to take 20,000 times 6, that's $120,000. If you have about $120,000, 6 months reserves in California, you might want to explore getting some help, okay? Because at that point, that's a little bit of a buffer, a cushion to kind of give you a runway, because when you start onboarding somebody, your attention will shift, right? To training this assistant, training this VA. And so if your focus is here versus your production, well, your production will slip a little bit. But I'll tell you what, as soon as you get this person up to par, your production should start to very, very rapidly increase, provided you hired the right person. We're going to get into that in a second. Okay. Lastly, you might be sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like I said, you might have hit this plateau where you're like, oh my God, I just am tired of doing everything. I got to get to the next level. So I would consider hiring a VA or assistant, okay? Some of you might have read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And this is a great, great book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it, whether you're in real estate or not. This is what we call the cash flow quadrant. Okay. With the cash flow quadrant, some of you are, right here. Whoops. Let me, I jumped a little bit ahead here. In the E quadrant, which you're an employee. And then you get this great idea like, hey, I'm going to be a realtor or an investor fix and flipper. And so you become self-employed. You start working for yourself. And then all of a sudden, right, between E and S, you run out of time. Okay. The E and S quadrant, employee, and S quadrant, the self-employed, there's only so much time in a day. So what I am coaching you today or challenging you today is to move over into the B and I quadrant. We're going to talk primarily, of course, about the B quadrant, which is the business owner. The business owner is what we're going to be talking about today. And what's common between the B and I quadrant? Leverage. Okay. So I'm going to be teaching you a lot about leverage today. What is leverage? Hiring a VA, hiring an assistant to do some of the things you shouldn't be doing. Okay. First off, what I would highly, highly recommend, if you don't know already, you should take a test. This test is very simple, and it'll identify what are your strong suits, maybe what are your things you need some help on. Okay. One of my favorites is a Tony Robbins DISC test, the Tony Robbins DISC test. Okay. And I'll get into that in a second, or the Enneagram test, or Myers-Briggs personality tests. Those are 3 tests that I could tell you any major employer out there in the world might use one of these 3. Some of these VA companies that you're potentially looking to work with, they already have existing DISC tests available on VAs that they have. Okay. And I'll go into this a little bit more. As I mentioned, DISC test, Tony Robbins, is definitely one of my favorites. First off, the first one you take is free. So you could take the Tony Robbins DISC test yourself, figure out who you are. And most of the time what I see, especially with the people here today with me, you are usually a D or I. You're usually a D or I. Okay. A DISC test. What is your personality and management experience? I want to put management experience because some of you are looking to build teams, you're looking to scale. And what I noticed, some of you are very, very fast versus ready, aim, fire. You're just like me. You're like ready, fire, aim. You just fire, you're very action oriented. I like that. Where I see some people that I coach fail is if they haven't had prior management experience. If they haven't had previous or prior management experience, yeah, they may be a DI, but if they don't have that prior experience, it's a little bit of more of a runway or a ramping up period before they become a great leader, manager, etc. So I would also consider getting some extra training or classes on management. Okay, so let's go through this a little bit. The D is what we call a driver or somebody who's very domineering. Okay, one of the things that you'll notice, and I'll do this in a second here. Let me actually go through a few of these first. I is influencer, S is steadiness, C is compliant. Okay, on a DISC test, you're going to see, especially with Tony Robbins, if you pay the extra fee, I think it's at $20 right now. I would recommend that because the basic one doesn't show the charts. I love the charts, and so should you, because when you see the charts, I'm very visual, and you'll see the charts, the bar graphs show like, hey, I'm a high D, I'm a high I, I'm a low S, a low C. That's what you want to look for. Okay. And I'll get into that a little bit more. But first, I want to go ahead and stress something that's very, very important as you start to meet with people, interview people, what have you, especially if you're face to face. Okay, I'm going to stop my share for a second here. And I want you to really look very closely. Okay, and hey, Nani, so glad you're here. David, so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Sanjeev. All right. More people. Awesome. The more the merrier. Okay. So when you guys meet somebody for an interview, I want you to really pay attention to this one move I'm about to do. This is powerful. All right. So like I had some fixed beliefs in my head a while back that definitely with more education and training and coaches and mentors changed it. Okay. When you walk up to somebody, especially if you do face-to-face interviews, and the courteous thing here in America, because I see other people from other countries, we typically stick our hand out to shake their hand. Okay. I want you to write this down because this is very powerful. Some people don't know how to read body language. And this is probably also why they're falling short or hiring the wrong people. Okay. When somebody sticks out their hand and they're about to shake your hand, I want you to pay close attention. When you're about to shake their hand, usually with a D or I, like myself, I'm very firm. I'm not a knuckle buster. That also tells something about that person. And I kind of laugh a little bit because if you shake somebody's hand and they're what they call a knuckle buster, they're like way over domineering and overpowering. That says something about they may be insecure. Okay. That's something I'd be careful for. Okay. But if they have a firm handshake, look you eye to eye, okay, this person has been properly trained, or this person might be a good driver influencer. Okay. Check this one out. This might be a biggest nugget for the day for some of you. And this is probably all you're going to need to really change this up. If you go ahead and shake somebody's hand, or maybe this might be you, you shake somebody's hand and they come in and they shake your hand and you're like, it's kind of like shaking a limp or dead fish, meaning there's like no firmness, no power on that handshake. Well, my old self used to say like, ah, man, and maybe this is you too. My old self used to say, this guy has no confidence. This person is weak. Man, I don't want this person on my team. Big mistake, guys. That's X. That's X. That's a big mistake because you're prejudging this person when in all reality, that limp handshake might mean they're an S or C. They're very cautious. They're probably a great analytical, which you might want to consider very strongly for that position we're talking about, an assistant or VA, because I'll tell you what, for admin, assistant, research, I love that handshake. Okay. I love that maybe they're not even making contact. I love that maybe their handshake is weak because that tells me something about their personality. And for today's training, that's the kind of person you want. Okay. So hopefully that opened up some of your eyes a little bit. That's the S or C. Okay. That's really, really powerful. I want you to make sure you pay attention. Now that we're kind of like past COVID, we're starting to shake hands, pay attention to that handshake. Okay. If you're in sales and you're like, man, I want some buyer agents, some team agents, I want somebody firm. I want somebody who's a D or I, and I want somebody who makes that great eye contact, very confident. That's somebody who's going to be in sales. Well, yeah, you better believe I want the opposite, somebody strong, firm, eye to eye, but for sure not over domineering. Because to me, if that person's not coachable, this person has a major ego that probably is getting them in the way of their success, believe it or not. And if that's you, it's time to start making some changes in how you're presenting yourself, especially with other people that you're trying to earn their business. Okay. S's and C's. S's and C's are perfect assistants, as I mentioned. S is steadiness. They tend to be supportive, stable, sweet, and maybe shy, like I said. They are typically calm, easygoing, and collected people. They like giving support, collaborating, and maintaining stability. The C is compliant. The C personality, compliance people produce high quality work that is important to them, and they do not like to make mistakes. They are very detail oriented. And going back to the D's, if you're like a D like me, I'm a ready, fire, aim. And sometimes I'll forget to dot the I's and cross the T's. And if that's you, okay, well, we need somebody who's an SC in our corner helping us out, okay? One of the things I want you to remember is this. If two of you are one of the same, one of you is not needed. I want to say that again, in case some of you didn't get it. If two of you are one of the same, one of you is not needed. There's sometimes that I coach partners, groups, and there's like 2 or 3 leaders or more. And I quickly identified like that is a problem because, again, if 2 of you are one of the same, one of you is not needed. There should be one leader. There firmly should be one leader. The rest is typically to follow. Okay. However, if you have 2 or 3, you need to start identifying their strengths, their weaknesses, and now start to like divide and conquer. Okay. What do I also mean by that? When you start doing interviews, guys, and you're that D, you're that I, and you're like hitting it off, you got the firm handshake, you made the eye contact, man, you're talking up a storm. Like, man, I could have a drink with this person. I could hang out with this person. I might want to work out, have, weekend gatherings with this person or surf some waters, whatever. You're like, buddy. That's too much alike. That's what you should avoid. Okay. So that's probably in the past, you might have hired this kind of person who thought was your assistant or could be your assistant. That's maybe where you made the error because you guys were too alike, too much similarity. Well, that's why jokingly, if you guys are too much alike, you're going to get nothing done because you guys are too much like the same. Okay. That's kind of what I mean. So hopefully you got that. I want you to start thinking like a CEO. I want you to really start thinking like a CEO. Now, remember this, a CEO does not mean chief everything officer. Earlier on one of my slides, you saw that you're doing too much. There's some things that you need to, as a matter of fact, you might even want to start today after this training. What are the things I need to stop doing? What are the things I need to stop doing? That is a powerful exercise. That's the powerful list. All these things you need to stop doing. Well, that could be the assistant. Okay. Clarity leads to power. After today's training, hopefully you have more clarity on how and why and when you should hire this assistant with that clarity. Okay. Visionary versus integrator. I got this from the book Traction. This is a very, very powerful thing you must understand. With leaders, they're usually crystal clear. Remember, I said clarity leads to power. If they're very clear on where they need to go, I worked with many, many leaders who's had these great, great big visions. That's who you probably are on this conference. There might be the integrators that really know how to follow a manual, that know how to follow a checklist. That might be you here today. That is a perfect differentiation where you need to separate, am I the visionary or integrator? If I'm the integrator, if I'm going to build a team, a company, I need a visionary, somebody who's fearless, somebody who could charge hard, somebody who knows where they're going. Okay. That's the visionary. And vice versa. If you're very clear on where you need to go, but for whatever reason, you're not getting there fast enough, well, chances are you need to get an integrator right away. Okay. read the book, The Attraction. I will get into some more on this today, but this is a great book by Gino Wickman, a great resource where I would recommend picking up that book as well. Every great visionary has an integrator. Every great visionary has an integrator. Walt Disney, he had Roy Disney. Ray Kroc, the person who founded McDonald's. Fred Turner. Steve Jobs had Steve Wozniak. Okay, so if you're looking to build a really great team or a company, you're thinking like, God, I want to take my company public. Well, I'll tell you what, find yourself a really good integrator. And now this person, believe it or not, may not be like that COO, not yet. But man, if you're starting with a younger, newer company, you might want to like find that personal assistant, VA assistant that has those skill sets of an implementer, integrator. And lo and behold, fast forward a few months or a few years from now, believe it or not, you might be able to form a company that you might one day take public. Okay. What is your time worth? This is a very, very big exercise. Okay. I see some realtors here with me today. I really appreciate you being here. Tyler, Sarah, Simon, Nani. This is an exercise for you. If you haven't done this, I want you to do this today. And when we meet on our coaches meeting, training, I want you to bring up your answer. Okay. What I'm about to show you is super powerful. And I'll pause on the slide a second so you guys could write it down. If you're a real estate agent, like I said, I'm in the real estate space. You could use the same numbers in your space, whether you're a mortgage professional, a loan officer, an insurance agent, an attorney, whatever. In real estate, in California, it's $10,000 commissions, maybe on the average. Some of you are like, really? Maybe I should switch careers. Yeah, maybe. But, anyways, so let's use this example, $10,000 in commissions. The average time from A to Z is about 20 hours. How we figured out this is we took a lot of our transactions, we time blocked it from A to Z, from when we tried to put our marketing together, to the cold calling, to finding this client, to taking it to the end. And you could do this yourself. Take your last 5 or 10 transactions, average out from start to finish, how many hours? You'll find out it's about 20, okay? Take that $10,000, divided by 20, that's how much you're worth per hour. This might be a big like aha moment for some of you, okay? Especially if you're here on the mainland, this is why you need to strongly consider hiring a VA, a virtual assistant overseas, because where you're making potentially $500 an hour, you could get away with a lot lower than that per hour by hiring an assistant, whether it's overseas or here in America. One of my last assistants that I hired here in America, she was making $25 an hour. Where I want you to even think about that one concept alone. If you have an assistant here locally in America and you're paying $15, $20, $30 an hour, well, I want you to start thinking overseas where, like, if you're paying that person $30 an hour, you could potentially get an assistant overseas, maybe not just one, but 2, 3, 4, 5 for that one person here in the US. I really want you to start to consider and think about that. If you're an attorney CPA, you might be making $250 or $500 an hour. Why aren't you delegating more and more and more? Okay, so I want you to think about that. What is your time worth? Like I said, VAs overseas are anywhere from $3 an hour to $9 an hour, believe it or not. So I was once upon a time looking for an assistant for a particular position. One of the potential VAs I was about to hire, you probably will, this will probably blow your mind. She said she was willing to work for $1 an hour. $1 an hour, yes. Yeah, you know, in some cases you get what you pay for. I am aware of that. However, there are some people that maybe just becoming a VA, they are willing to sacrifice some of their pay to like learn being a freelancer, they call them typically in the Philippines, or a virtual assistant, where they're like, you know what? I want to get into this industry. I'm willing to work for peanuts because they see the bigger picture. And quite frankly, you might even want to give them a shot, provided they check all the boxes what you're looking for that particular position. Okay. What is your H but? All right. Highest, best use of your time. Highest, best use of your time is what I mean. All right. In real estate, if you ever coach with me, if you ever train with me, I'm going to ask you that question over and over and over again, because I want you to be clear. Your H but, or HABU, some people call it highest and best use of your time, is prospecting, lead generation, buyer appointments, seller appointments, writing contracts, and negotiating contracts. Now, check this out, guys. I'm coaching several people right now that they figured out this game so good that they eliminated prospecting, right? They eliminating being a buyer's agent. They're not working with buyers anymore. They eliminated working with sellers and writing contracts, negotiating contracts. And some of these folks are actually starting to move into what I like to teach and preach as well, is invest in real estate. So earlier I showed you that slide of, okay, we got the E quadrant, the S quadrant, the B quadrant, the I quadrant. They're a realtor on an S. They're a solo agent. Now I coach them to becoming a business owner, where they have an agent or an assistant or both or more. And you can look at as many testimonials I have online. I've coached many of them. Then after they got that business figured out, they move into becoming an investor, which I'm doing myself. I get very, very excited about passive income. So when you figure this out as a realtor, and whatever it is in your business, your highest, best use of your time, write it down and see how much more you could start delegating. I want you to be very, very clear on that, because like when you figure out, earlier I said, what do I need to stop doing? Once you figure that out, man, your life will become limitless, because some of you have this belief, like I mentioned earlier, that you should do everything yourself, which that's a limiting belief. Jobs to delegate. Administrative, that's the obvious one, right? Administrative, transaction coordination, answering phones, emails, research, marketing, social media, accounting, web management, paperwork preparation, DocuSign, surveys, ISA, which we call in real estate inside sales assistant, or client nurturing. Okay, that's one of the things that some teams, they already got an in-house assistant or admin, and now they're getting all these leads. They're subscribing to all these different websites, and their problem now isn't so much that it's not so much about them working their admin. It's more like, man, I got to start converting these leads. I'm getting so many leads that I have challenges converting. And so this is another position that we're not going to talk about too much today, but if you start meeting with me one-on-one or coaching or training with me, this is certainly a position that we could start to develop for you. That is totally a unique position, and maybe a training I might put in the future. Actually, that's actually a great idea. I'll probably talk about that one in the future. Tools to use. If you're moving into the space of hiring an assistant, hiring a VA, these are some of the tools that I recommend you using. LastPass, Ring Central. LastPass, what that is. Some of you are like kind of nervous to give your passwords to this virtual assistant or assistant. You have this website, you have this subscription, you have this account. Okay, well, LastPass essentially is a subscription where you put all your passwords, all your usernames in there. And if that person ever decides to leave or you decide to let them go, boom, one click, you get into LastPass, you set the button up and done. Instead of trying to jump to this website, to this account, to this subscription, and like you're taking all that time, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, I forgot that password. I got to reset. Oh my God, I got to look for that email. Oh my God, and then you start getting all panicky. LastPass will resolve that. Okay, Ring Central. Now, Ring Central is one of the phone companies. They call them VoIPs, voice over internet phone. A voice over internet phone is simply a lot of these VAs, they have a computer. However, they're not going to pick up their cell phone and call here in America because that's going to cost them their whole salary. It's going to cost them an arm and a leg. So what I recommend is get yourself a Ring Central account. There's two others you might want to check out. They're pretty good too. AirCall, AIR Call, or also Grasshopper. Very similar to Ring Central. I happen to be using Ring Central. I've been with them a long, long time. I've tried AirCall. They're pretty good as well. I have not tried Grasshopper, but all of them are the same. They're voice over internet phones. If you're going to have somebody calling outbound, they're very reliable. I don't recommend Google Voice or anything else out there because it's very limited. Okay. How do you pay? If you're going to pay a VA in the Philippines, I currently use PayPal and Wise. Those are two very, very good systems to pay your VA across overseas. Western Union, I've tried. Some of these, the very difference is how they receive the money and the fees. Like some of the VAs, they don't like that extra fee because they get dinged for it. So you might want to ask them, if you're going direct to a freelancer, how do you like to get paid? Some of them don't have a PayPal account. They have a Wise account, vice versa. Make sure you are familiar, they are familiar with G Suite tools. G Suite tools basically is, Google Drive, Google Sheets, Google Docs. As a matter of fact, when you start training them, this is how you're going to be sharing docs. So if you're not familiar with it, I would highly encourage you to start getting familiar yourself, because this is by far one of the best tools to use on training VAs. I see something in the chat. Let me poke in there real quick. Make sure it's on topic. Are VA salary tax deductible? Great question, Simon. Great question. So, as I mentioned on my disclaimer, I am not a CPA, a tax accountant, anything, blah, blah, blah. All right. So, Simon, I would recommend make sure you have a very, very good tax person where there are ways, and depending how you are, because some people like to kind of push that gray envelope. And depending how you have it set up, yes and no. So it really depends, Simon, on if it's tax deductible or not. Some of them play that gray area where like, okay, you know what? This could be a marketing expense. Okay, so I would really check with your tax person how to strategize, because as you may know, there's some gray area there. And with the IRS tax code, if you really understand that, you could kind of play that gray line. Let me see. Looks like another question here. Okay, you're welcome, Simon. Anytime. And Simon, man, if you want to talk offline, please go on my calendar. I know you and I've been wanting to connect for a while. Go on my calendar. I'd love to catch up with you. I know you're super busy, so yeah, I'd love to catch up, man. Canva. Canva is, I would say, one of the basic tools that a VA should be familiar with. If you're going to have a VA work with you on social media, graphic arts, they should be familiar with Canva. It's free. It's pretty much easy to use. And one thing I would say is this, and when you start interviewing your virtual assistants or assistants, the two most powerful words when I interview anybody, especially overseas, are these two words here. Show me. Show me. If I have a VA, especially in the Philippines, and I'm going to interview for a certain position, I don't know this person from Adam. I'm going to put them on the spot. And if you're a VA watching this and listening to this, you better take note, okay? Because this is how some of the people in the US think. And for me, I'm very savvy. I'm very fast. I can think on my feet and I'll go for it. And I'll ask some questions you better be prepared to answer. And so what do I mean by show me? If you say, hey, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, I know how to do this, I've got experience in this, right in the middle of my interview, and this is what you might want to do if you're here in the US interviewing people, show me. Okay, you've done this work, show me. Give me some websites, show me. Okay, you've got a portfolio, show me. Okay, one time, one of my VAs, she's still with me after 3 years, she's amazing. She was like saying, I could do this, I could do that, I could work on spreadsheets. I said, show me. And then she took me through some of the analysis. She started showing me some spreadsheets. She was working with another company. And I go, okay, explain it to me. So we went high level. We took apart this analytics, and let's just say it was like a deal analysis spreadsheet. And I go, okay, tell me what this number means. Tell me what this number means. Tell me what DSCR means. Tell me what IRR means. Tell me blah, blah, blah. Show me. Okay. And then she started showing me on computer and she started explaining. And I'm like, okay, she knows her stuff. You're hired. And so like, be careful. If you're a VA listening to this, which I encourage even the virtual assistants in the Philippines or India or, overseas or in the South Americas, pay attention, because this is how people in the US are screening you out. Okay. And if you're here in the US, man, put them on the spot. If you got this great opportunity to potentially hire this person, ask those two words, show me. Because man, they could be so trained at memorizing how to answer scripts and how to prepare for an interview. But man, if you put them on the spot, show me. And you're like, because some VAs I notice, unfortunately, they overpromise and underdeliver. They overpromise and underdeliver. And when that time comes, where like they're already onboarded, this person in the US is so excited, and they're like, oh my God, I finally did it. I took the courage, I took action, I listened to my coach, I hired this person. And then this person that you thought was this, and now it's delivering with this, now you're left with frustration. You're like, oh my God, it took me so long to figure this out and hire somebody. And then some people I notice here in the US, some of my coaching clients, they get disappointed, disgruntled, so disheveled, and they're like, forget this, one and done. When I know I'm extremely resilient. So like, if you don't know me very well, I'm resilient. I don't give up very easy. And so like one of the VA companies I was working with in the past, it took me 3 tries to finally get the right person I really needed. So it was slow to hire, quick to fire. I went through 1, not working out, 2, not working out, 3. Okay. 3 is the magic number. And so with that company I worked with, I was able to, this was when I was an agent. So the fee might have been like $2,000 a month. I was paying this VA company $2,000 a month in less than 2 months. It wasn't even in my second month. She scored me a listing. I double-ended it. I made more than $20,000. Talk about the return on that. I invested like $2,000 for my VA. She was making phone calls. And I got a listing. It more than paid for itself the whole year. Okay. Second time around, I was becoming a broker owner in charge of a company, and I wanted to recruit. And same thing. It was weird. First one didn't work out. Let her go. Second one, didn't work out. Let her go. Third one, like I said, I'm resilient. I don't give up easy. I hired this person. Lo and behold, I had 50 agents in 1 year. 50 agents in my agency in 1 year off of one brilliant, amazing VA. That's the power of leveraging. That's a power of hiring the right person. Hootsuite Buffer. This is an automatic campaign poster. If you're a VA in the Philippines, you have to know about this, okay? You definitely should learn about this. If you're here in the US and thinking about like, man, I can't figure out this social media. I mean, I'm doing these videos, I'm doing these posts. I highly recommend you get on this and schedule posts in advance. This is one of the ways. I think they're still around. You could check them out. These are two of the tools that I've used in the past. Okay, other tools. Other tools that I would strongly recommend that you get familiar with, maybe the VA gets familiar with. My VA, I have 4. They're all amazing. One of them does my podcast. So like she knows how to book on my Calendly. She does everything, so a lot of times if you watch me on the Real Estate Raw show, a lot of the guests there, I just show up. And like, that's the first time I ever met them, talked to them because of this one tool called Calendly. Loom and Zoom, I would highly recommend. This is a great way to train your VA, is use Loom or Zoom. And a lot of the times you're on opposite time zones. And so what I would strongly recommend that like, oh my God, you got a great idea. Oh my God, this is task my VA can do. Okay, well, jump on the computer. Go log into your Zoom account, start like, okay, what do I have to do? Okay, I got to log in here. I got to start sharing the screen right away and start talking into the camera like this VA is in front of you. Okay, you're setting up an SOP, a standard operating procedure for a task. Okay, how do you do that? You're talking into the camera. Now, after you're done, you type it out on an email and then send it to that VA. So you have a recorded video. You're logging in here, check here. This is what I need to be doing. This is the outcome I need to be done. You type on an email. You need to make sure that you properly send it and then inspect what you expect, right? Inspect what you expect. You talk to your VA. Hey, Miss Virtual Assistant, did you get that email? Did you get that video? Do you understand? Okay, great. Show me, right? 2 words, show me. And make sure that your VA fully understands exactly what you just trained them on the Zoom, on the video, on the email. If there's no clarity, there's some disconnection on communication, well, truth be told, you know what? Own it as the employer. Okay, because if you're pointing fingers at the VA, no, you've got 3 fingers pointing right back at you. Own it and take responsibility. Maybe your communication is a little bit off. In the beginning, when I had VAs, I knew my communication was off. Okay, so make sure you start to properly address that. YouTube, Salesforce, QuickBooks, rental software, you name it. These are some tools that some of the people that I coach, they're using, they're having their VAs get on top of. You could teach anything and everything under the sun, okay? I want you to embrace this mindset as well. If I haven't taught you enough, here's something else I want to teach you. It's really around mindset, okay? And maybe limiting beliefs, okay? Growth versus fixed mindset. The concept of growth and fixed mindsets was coined by psychologist Carol Dweck in 2006 by the book Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. Some of you have not hired your first assistant, have not hired your first VA, have not worked with a VA company. And some of it is because of this fixed mindset. And hopefully after today, I have broke that fixed mindset and challenged you and helped you to get out of that fixed mindset and get into the growth mindset. What do I mean by that? I was coaching somebody who was running a property management company. They had over 400 doors. They also had a brokerage where they were selling, God, I want to say maybe 50 million a year. That's a lot on their property management company that had about 12 employees. Well, anyway, this company had been coaching with me for a long, long time. Since day one, I said, hey, you need to consider hiring a virtual assistant. I've got 4, they do very well, blah, blah. I kept telling him almost every single coaching call. Finally, after whatever happened, a big aha moment, they went ahead and did it. And they decided to move forward. And then one of our coaching calls, they said, Joe, you know what? I wish I would have listened to you 3 years ago. And, I try to tell people when I coach them and train them, when even if you share 15 minutes with you, I will talk straight. I will not beat around the bush. I'm very honest and sometimes to a fault, but I'll tell you what sometimes you don't want to hear. And so anyway, this an amazing couple that I was working with, now they're on their second one. Things are thriving. They're making more money and they're hitting another level and another level. And that's one of many people that I coached and trained that's what's happening. Okay. And so maybe you yourself are getting in your own way. It's time to get out of your own way. Your options. Well, you could keep up the insanity. Okay. You could keep up the insanity. You could potentially hire Fiverr, Upwork, VAjobsonline.com, or hire a VA company. And I see some questions. I'm going to get into the chat and take a look at these. I'm going to jump in the chat. Thank you so much for your participation here. And hopefully I could address some of this real quick. Okay, Nani, see ya. I'll definitely appreciate you being here. I'll send you the recording later. Appreciate it. So glad you're here. All right, perfect. So Fiverr, what is Fiverr? Fiverr.com. Okay, believe it or not, there's people out there that will do jobs for $5. $5, okay? It might be a flyer, it might be a graphic design, it might be whatever you might think of for $5. They're usually what we call one-off jobs. A logo design, a voiceover, data mining, organizing, graphic design, or flyers. I've hired lots and lots and lots of people for Fiverr, from Fiverr. As a matter of fact, if you listen to the Real Estate Raw show or my other podcast, the Newbie RE show, both of the voiceovers, I found somebody on Fiverr. I just needed somebody for a one-time job. And she was very professional. And it wasn't $5, it was a little bit more. And so my podcasts out there, I found through Fiverr, okay? Upwork. Now, Upwork is a little bit more expensive, okay? Why? Well, part of it, some of the potential people you might find from there are based in the US. And, US premium, we've got higher cost of living, taxes, federal liability, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's going to be more expensive to hire somebody here. And they have people from Canada and Europe and, you name it. Once upon a time, I built one of my websites and I was on a shoestring budget. I was really starting out this new company. I was like, man, you know what? I need to be more resourceful. And so I went to Upwork. And I was like, the reason why was like, I could build a website here in the US for roughly $3,000 to $5,000. A decent, functioning, legitimate, great website. $3,000 to $5,000, that is about the going rate, okay? I didn't have $3,000, $5,000. I was like, I'd rather use some of that to market, not just my website. I got to stretch that money out. And so believe it or not, I went on to Upwork and I found somebody to develop and build my website for $300. The same $3,000 here, because I met with a few before I made up my mind, and I met with somebody on Upwork, was $300, a fraction of a cost. Okay. And it's still up there today. And so it's a very professional website. And for $300, it was done. Okay. So I want you to maybe kind of consider Upwork, web design. They have people that do deal underwriting, analytics. So if you're starting to get into investing, you're getting into multifamily, you're weak at underwriting, you're weak at spreadsheets, or you need help. Maybe I offended some people. Weak is a strong word. If you're around me and you get to know me a little bit more, like I said, I shoot straight. Okay. But it's just the way I talk. I'm not trying to hurt any feelings. I was kind of raised in a tough household, and it rubs off sometimes. So don't take it too personal. So yeah, if you have somebody that you need to do your underwriting and deal analytics, you might find somebody on Upwork that could do that underwriting for you for maybe a couple $100s or so. But man, if you're going to invest a couple $100s to make a couple $100,000, or you need somebody just to double check your work, Upwork might be the place. You might find a great executive assistant, and some of them, quite frankly, are there because they need exposure or more exposure to people here in America. That's why they jump on Upwork. Here's what I want to share about that and a few other things. There's a thing about saying cut out the middleman. And if you're here in the US, some of you are starting to like tighten up your budget. The market is shifting. You're like, man, I got to really stretch my dollar. I got to find ways to really watch my expenses. So Upwork, VA companies, no offense, there's some of them here today that I actually like and I would refer any day, and I would refer, and I do refer. There's a way where you to potentially cut out the middleman, okay? VA companies and Upwork, the way they work is they take a little bit of a premium, and some of it is very, very valid, okay? And it's what I call DFY versus DIY. Done for you versus do it yourself. So if you work with Upwork or if you work with a VA company, the way they work is this. Some of you, I know somebody here today, as a matter of fact, asked me that question, like done for you. These companies will interview these freelancers. They'll look at resumes. They'll take the time to sit one-on-one. That takes a lot of time, money, and resources. That's what we call done for you. Now, that premium that they charge, whether it's a VA company or Upwork, it's worth its weight in gold in some cases. I know some of the companies out there, you might want to meet with me offline. I'd be happy to talk to many of them because I've dealt with a lot of them. I know how they operate. I know some of them stay away. But some of them, as a matter of fact, some of them here today, I like and admire, and I do send them referrals, like I said, or do it yourself. When you cut out the middleman, that website I mentioned earlier, vajobsonline.com, that's do it yourself. Now you're going to find out quickly that it's not that easy. I sometimes make it look very easy because I've been doing it a long time. Okay. And these companies out there, when you go onto that website, some of you should log in right now, get yourself an account and set that up right now. You're going to find out that these are freelancers direct. Well, there's a learning curve. And I want to say for some of you, it's very, very steep. However, if you're coaching with me and training with me, that learning curve is very minimal because I teach you step by step by step what to look for, what to avoid, how to put your job ad, how to screen them, what kind of tools you need, et cetera, et cetera. I tell you, you thought I shared nuggets today. I share some crazy nuggets when you coach and train with me. Okay. So anyway, there's a big difference from done for you or do it yourself. There's that premium, and could that premium be validated? Absolutely. Like I said, if you're getting into the space, you're just starting out the way I started, I did hire a VA company, and that was way back in 2010 because I didn't know what the heck I was doing and I really needed some help. And that kind of gave me that confidence too, like, hey, I have a reputable company that will help me mitigate my risk. And if I had any problems, instead of moaning and groaning to this VA, I'm going to moan and groan to this company. Hey, you put me in connection with this VA. What's up? And luckily, like I said, the first one didn't work out. Second one didn't work out. But meanwhile, I was talking to this VA company. Okay, so that's a buffer. Okay. VAjobsonline.com, as I mentioned, VA, like virtual assistant, jobsonline.com. You're going to freelancers direct with caution. Okay. I want to use that word. Okay. Because many times I may hire for one position. I may go through literally 200 to 300 applicants to finally get one. I may go through 20 to 30 and narrowing it down face to face to get that one. Now, after that 20 to 30, I get that one. Guess what? They no show or don't show up for that interview or whatever. Now I got to start all over. So it's hard. It's hard. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to, make it look too easy. It is hard. But I'll tell you what, if you're willing to do the work and willing to figure out, because I told myself many years ago, I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to build a company, and not just one company. I got to do multiple things. And fast forward many years later, it all happened to my advantage, because I told myself, and if you guys know me or don't know me, I have multiple companies. I have multiple investments. Why? Because because I have amazing people behind me. I have amazing people behind me. And I told myself, if I'm going to scale, that's going to cost a lot of money. And I'd rather build some of my team overseas to kind of mitigate costs, mitigate risk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Labor law. Truth be told, here in America, people are suing for ridiculous reasons. And if you're an employer, you probably know what I mean. And, during COVID, man, people were really milking that money, that was kind of like, some of it was, they were taking advantage, and anyway, I don't want to get too much into that. So you get what I mean. Do that now, guys. Go onto that website, VAjobsonline.com. Check it out. You're going to learn a lot just by getting on that website. Now, there's free version and subscription. If you're going to get serious, step it up. I think it amounts to about $69 a month or $99 a month. If you do the year-long plan, it's probably it's discounted. So you might want to do the year, and you're going to find out like, oh my God, it's very inexpensive. It is. Now, the learning curve, the expensive part is your time. How much time can you put into hiring, interviewing, meeting with people, no show, and that training, et cetera. Okay, so I want you to be mindful of that. Here are some lessons learned. And I appreciate everybody still being here on the webinar. You guys are hanging tough. I love it. I see another question. I'll see if I could address that. I do have employees here in the USA. So I have both. And I prefer, because I am looking to scale even more, I'd prefer to get even more overseas. Because like I said, for all those other reasons, there are certain things that like you need an employee or somebody here locally, especially if you're a realtor. Like, remember the 4 income producing activities. Quick question. What's that answer? Prospecting, lead generation, buyer appointments, seller appointments, running contracts, negotiating contracts. 4 income producing activities. Well, a lot of times realtors, should hire somebody here locally, a paid assistant, to get a sign, to get a lockbox, to meet with a client, to pick up at this vendor. Well, you definitely should have an assistant here to do some of that stuff. To put together a congratulations package, you should have an employee here. There's a lot of reasons. And if you meet with me one-on-one, I could share with you like some more of the differences, and I'll be happy to talk to you offline, Sanjeev, if you want some time. Jump on my calendar. Love to chat with you one-on-one. Okay. Lessons learned. Slow to hire, quick to fire. Some of you have a very, very, I guess, soft heart or too kind, right? I was talking to one of my coaching clients yesterday. I'm too nice. I go, stop being nice, jokingly. I mean, because he is a nice guy. And I told him, you're running a business. The cost of living in Philippines is much more different than here. So yeah, that's why you could validate how much you're paying them. But at the end of the day, remember, you're running a business. And if you're not helping your business, you're hurting yourself and your family. Okay. Invest 1 hour of power. This is powerful, guys. This one by far is where I see a lot of people miss the mark. And like, if you're a VA, you're going to love Joe Mendoza for this one. If you're here in the US, you'll probably love Joe Mendoza too for this one. One of the things that I did early in my career, or if I work with any virtual assistant, they know that I spend a half an hour or an hour more onboarding training every single day. So if they're working on a shift with me, I guarantee you, some of the people here in the US, that's your fault for not doing that. You're expecting, even if you have a company that you hire a VA with, yeah, they could do certain things, but they don't know your CRM, or they don't know your work process, your workflow. They don't know your org chart or how to manage your business. So you got to make sure you set up right expectations between them and you. Okay. So train an hour of power daily. Okay. If your shift starts at 8 a.m., I have somebody in Hawaii I coach right now. If your shift starts at 8 a.m. your time, you better make sure and tell your VA, hey, I'm going to train you 8 o'clock to 8:30, 8 o'clock to 9 maximum. You need to show up every single day. And if you're late, I'm going to give you 2 chances. First one, I could excuse because sometimes I might be late. Second chance, you may be fired. If you set up that expectation in the beginning, hey, they know, fair warning, you told them the rules. Okay. If you told them the rules, that's the expectation, but do your part too, where you need to make sure you show up. Okay. Because their time, like I said, in the Philippines is so much different from ours. And if you're not showing up, they're showing up. That's a reflection on you, and vice versa. If you're a VA in the Philippines, man, if this employer is setting up these expectations, they have a lot of hope. They have a lot of faith in you. And if you're letting them down by showing up late, not being prepared, now that's on you. Whoever the VA is listening to this, don't let them down. I mean, they're some of them, it took them a long time to come to that decision. Like I said, one of my clients, it took them 3 years. Okay. So don't disappoint them. Trust the process. This goes both ways for VAs and for employers here in America, or whoever's an employer in another city or country. If you're properly understanding onboarding, training, mentoring, coaching, etc., sometimes you got to have blind faith and just trust the process, and don't be too quick to fire. Okay. I mean, because sometimes you're an A player, you're an A employer. And I guarantee you, if you're hiring assistants, employees, or agents, they're not your level. And there's a reason why you're a leader. They need somebody to follow. Okay. So if you're way here and they're kind of here, give them the chance to kind of grow with you. One of my assistants, who was my in-house assistant, she was my part-time assistant here in the US. I started her back in the day when it was $9 an hour. She was a divorcee, single mom, and I gave her a chance. And, at the end of the day, she really earned her keep. Where a great assistant will start doing this. When I was asking, hey, Beverly, did you do this, this, and this? Already done. Oh, wow. What about this? Already done. Wow, Bev, I saw you were working at 12 o'clock at night. Were you on at 12 o'clock? Yeah, I was. when you have an assistant, like all of a sudden you're running this race and they start to overpass you, you better pay them whatever you need to pay them and keep them forever because now this assistant totally understands you, totally gets you. So my VAs, if you're listening, yeah, I mean, there's a great reason why you're still around, and please keep up, because I'm running 1 billion miles per hour, and VAs, you know what? Catch up to your employer. If you're listening to this and you're like, man, how come he's not happy? Well, chances are you're not keeping up or you're not getting way ahead. Okay, so get ahead. Eliminate limiting beliefs. There are limiting beliefs on hiring. There's limiting beliefs as an employer. There's limiting beliefs as a virtual assistant. Get over it. Okay. Create an SOP for everything. I went into that a little bit. Make sure you create a standard operating procedures. Could be simple as a checklist for everything. Okay. And when I tell people this, I say, make sure that it is where a 10-year-old or a 16-year-old can understand it step by step and implement. If a 10-year-old or 16-year-old could understand and implement it, you got it. That's perfect. There's your SOP. Okay. Understand this: education mitigates risks and eliminates fear. Some of you are on today because you want to mitigate the risk. You're educating yourself. It eliminates fear, false evidence appearing real. Some of you, again, have maybe not, that false evidence of like those limiting beliefs and myths that I shared with you earlier, that's kind of holding you back. More education will mitigate that risk. I want to ask you this: if not now, when? If not this, then what? How much more lost time with the kiddos, spouse, or significant other are you willing to risk or lose? We go through life and we have minutes at a time, seconds at a time, sometimes even seconds. You ask an Olympian, seconds is a difference between gold and silver, and in life, sometimes these seconds, these minutes, these hours make a difference in your life, your child's life. Kids will never care how much you made. They won't. They will remember how much time you spent with them and how did you make them feel. They'll never care how much you make. But one of these things where, like I said earlier, you might be missing ball games. You might be missing quality time at the movies or hanging out and doing a project at home because you're wanting to do it all. And I'm asking you as a human being to stop doing that and start to leverage and spread and share the wealth. You might be that agent making $500 an hour or even $1,000 an hour because you did that exercise and you're like, holy smoke, Joe, I'm actually making $2,000 an hour. Well, if you don't have an assistant, remember, you are the assistant. I want to start changing your life. Okay. Now let's open it up for some questions because I don't want to take up all the time here. We're almost done. I want to make sure we open it up for some questions. If anybody has some questions, remember, leverage OPT, other people's time and talent. That is very, very important. One of my assistants that I have even today, when I was meeting with her, one of the things that I really was considering her because she was a graduate of this place called the University of the Philippines. Now, that is one of the most reputable universities in the country. And it's equivalent to a Stanford, a Yale, a Brown here in the US. And that was one of the reasons why I was considering it. I want to surround myself with much sharper people than me. As a matter of fact, sometimes I want to be the dumbest person in the room. So on purpose, because I want people around me helping me level up. And see, that's me moving away from my ego and letting smarter people help me grow and challenge me. Okay, thank you. I think I see a question here. So you are saying if I'm ready to hire my first assistant, getting a VA is the way to go. Getting an assistant here in San Diego versus, depends, Simon. So that's a very, very good question. And I would really have to sit down with you and see what's going on in your life. And if you want to share with me, Simon, your stop doing list. And I would like to see your numbers. If you wanted to sit down with me, show me your production, show me your income, show, a lot of people, full transparency, they even show me their profit and loss statements. I am a certified QuickBooks Pro. I know and understand accounting pretty damn good. Excuse the French there if I offended somebody or the curse word. I would need to know you a little bit more, and outside looking in, Simon, I do know you pretty well. So I would just say, depends where you are with your business and career. I know you're in property management. I know you're a realtor. I know you're a family man. And so what I would stick to, like if you're starting to focus more on real estate or property management, it depends. So like I know in property management, some people don't like to do some of the silly jobs, like, and I no disrespect. Hey, I need to show a potential tenant. I need to go ahead and, type up this information so I could run an application on Rent Spree to make sure this person even is a valid candidate for my rental. Well, for a person that is opening up property, you might have a licensed real estate assistant open up that property and sure enough, show these potential tenants because you want to see what your habu is, your highest and best use of your time, Simon. You want to figure out like, man, and one thing you might even want to do, Simon, is tomorrow or Monday. This is Friday. So go on Monday, Tuesday, pick a day where you would just take a blank sheet of paper, just a regular sheet of paper, and start to write down from the time you clock in the office or your home, every 15-minute increments. What are you doing? And send me that sheet, Simon. And if I see that you're doing a lot of things that aren't income producing activities, these are things you should outsource to a VA or assistant. If you're putting things out like, oh, I had to meet this person here and meet this person here, chances are you might need a licensed real estate assistant or just an assistant. If you're going to so many places, because I could tell you, like, I live here in North County, San Diego, and I still have a lot of clients, a lot of friends that, like to hire me. And at one point, I was driving back and forth for this simple task, Simon. I would do like something like, man, okay, I just sold a property. I got to remove the lockbox, and that's it. Literally 2 minutes of my time. And from North County to South San Diego sometimes is 1 hour, and then drive back 1 hour, and then sometimes sit in traffic. So that's like 2.5 hours. So like, as a realtor, Simon, let's just say $500 an hour or $1,000 an hour I'm worth. I had my in-house assistant, I paid her $25 an hour. For $50 or $75, that is a lot less than $1,000 an hour. Well, I told my assistant, okay, here's my key. All I need you to do is take off that lockbox and come right back. I need you to drive an hour, come back an hour, remove that lockbox. Here's the directions, take off that lockbox. Well, for sure, if you're taking a lot of listings, if you're doing a lot of drive time, definitely have an assistant here in the US. If you're like, oh my God, I'm doing video, I'm doing social media, I'm doing this because I want to be on social media so people know who I am, and you're spending way, way, way too much time on that, that's something easily, there's multiple VAs, highly trained, highly more skilled than maybe you are, and not just Simon, I'm talking to the crowd here, where like there's a lot of VAs way better than me at that stuff. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and hire a VA just for that to get even 2 hours of my day back. And Simon, there's some VAs that will be willing to work with you
2 hours to 4 hours a day. If you break it down, like let's just say $5 an hour times 4, that's $20 a day. $20 a day times 5, that's $100 times a month. You're not even all in at $400 a month. Simon, I know there's some social media companies that have been soliciting you that maybe are asking for $1,000, $1,500, $3,000 a month. You'll get a good VA for $400 a month. Hopefully that answers your question. I see some more in the chat and Q&A. Yeah, Sanjeev, man, if you have few VAs, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if it's a male, female. Yeah, get some local assistance. Yes, that's actually a great idea, Sanjeev, is to hire somebody locally. You pay a US or whatever country you're in. This could be your COO or your director of operations or manager to oversee your VAs. So like if you're looking to scale, Simon, this might even be applied to you, where like, you know, you want to make sure that number one, you're a CEO, right? And the next person you're going to hire will be a COO. And Sanjeev, that goes to you too. And then you're going to get 2 branches, which will be like this, guys. And I'm doing this because we do have some extra time and I want to give you some more nuggets. And then you go like this, is you're the CEO. You're going to find an operator who is a COO, right? Who's going to help you out with that. And then you're going to have a sales department and an admin department. Okay. So when you're really looking to scale, that's what you want to make sure you're doing, is leveraging other people. All right. So not sure what's going on here, but there we go. All right. Other websites to consider: Craigslist, Monster, Indeed, WiseHire. You know, if you didn't like the processes I shared, these are certainly very good, reputable websites that you might want to consider when you're looking to potentially hire other people. I will go and see if I could, whoops. Looks like my mouse is having some challenges with me. All right, let me open up the chat and the Q&A. Do the VAs stick around with you as your business grow? That's a good question, Simon. Absolutely. You know, if I have somebody that's really, really good, there's another book out there that I would recommend you guys read. It's by Jim Collins. It's a book called Good to Great. In that book, they talked about right person, right seat on your bus. Okay, well, I have one bus. Let's just call it, Simon, your real estate brokerage bus. Well, in that bus, I had a VA. Now, maybe this VA is sitting down on seat number 8, which was social media. Well, this VA got more skills because I tested them out, got into accounting, got into rent collections, whatever. I'm going to move this VA because I have a SOP. I'm going to move this VA out of SOP on social media. I'm going to move this person into another seat and might manage my accounting. Okay, so I want you to constantly challenge your VAs. And if they fail or it doesn't seem to stick, that's where you want to maybe hire another VA or another person. And eventually, if this person, you outgrow them and they can't keep up, then let them go. But see, I have one bus, which is a real estate brokerage. I have another bus, which is my investment business. That's another bus. Some of them might cross train or sit on different buses. Jim Collins, Good to Great. And so that's what I would probably recommend, Simon, if I were you. W-2 payroll or 1099. It depends. It depends how you want to pay this person. So like, I would say if you want more accountability, you better go W-2. If this person is here in the US, you better go W-2, because there's some liability and accountability when you start telling this person like, hey, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, blah, blah, blah. Man, if this person ever decides to get nasty with you and like sue you, well, you just expose yourself. If you were paying this person 1099 and you start to cross that line and you get this disgruntled person, and like this person is just mischievous and starts writing things behind your back and like, man, this person said to do this, this person told me to do this. Well, now it sounds like, and I'm not an attorney, but I know how attorneys think, this sounds like crossing that labor law line. Okay. And now you got a liability, and now you're sitting in front of a judge because this person's suing you for a labor law dispute. You know, man, this person was telling me what to do. He should have been paying me like an employee and paying me for my pension and my retirement and vacation pay. Well, this is why you want to consider W-2. Now, 1099, as long as you know how to follow the rules, as long as you know how to respect this person and maybe even spell it out on a contract or a what we call a MOU, a memorandum of understanding, if you spelt it all out and you did your part and you properly documented and you're that kind of above person, we'll pay them 1099, you know, because there are some ways to work it to your advantage and sometimes maybe your disadvantage. Okay. Simon, amazing, man. I really appreciate you being here. You're amazing. Yeah, book some time on a calendar. Love to catch up, man. Really appreciate you. Take care. Yeah, that's what I would strongly, strongly recommend. We got a little bit more time here. Wow. That's a great question. So, you know, I'm not sure where you're based out of and why you're having some challenges for people willing to work for that pay. That's a great, great question. Okay, Los Angeles. Okay. You and I should chat, you know, because for that pay, I'm not sure your business. I'm not sure your expectations. I know maybe your expectations might be too high. Maybe you're paying too low for this position, where in reality, you should be paying them 80,000, 100,000, because sometimes I see with employers, their list is too big. Their expectation is too much and you're not paying them enough. And so like, this is a conversation where you and I should probably sit down one-on-one and go through that a little bit deeper. Because I know in cost of living in California, it is a bit high. You know, I know in Canada, I have some clients in Canada. I have some clients in Philippines. Canada is high as California. Philippines is cost of living is low. And I'm even coaching realtors in the Philippines that are growing big businesses. And they help me understand the dynamics of pay and even hourly here versus over there in the Philippines, and wages and pesos. So Sanjeev, this is something that you and I should talk a little bit more, because sounds like we need to maybe even set it up. Maybe we'll coach a little bit for some of these things. Property management, personal portfolio, syndicator. So you can run a number of businesses. That's amazing. Good for you. Good for you. So you're really very similar to me. There's certain things in property management. There's certain things in personal portfolio. This is something, I'll tell you what, like you never know what a VA could be capable of, and never ever underestimate their potential. So I have an amazing VA that I have an okay portfolio. It's relative to some, where I put her to the test and she was, yes, I'll do this, I'll do that. All right, go for it. And I trusted her, and I still do. And she does property management. Okay. Where in some cases, if you closely look, I could tell you a number of different companies here in the US, they're proud. They're very proud, or not. They're not, they're open, or whatever the word you want to choose, to share their staff online on their website. And some of them are very, very big companies, Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies. Their staff is actually in the Philippines. And I seen some of these property management. I understand, because I'm, number one, Filipino. And I understand when I look at their picture, their bio, or sometimes they even communicate with me online, or I talk to them on a Zoom, that they're in the Philippines. And I understand the wages and what have you. And anyway, these property management companies are having people from the Philippines, maybe half their staff. And so they're paying the wages from $3 an hour to $9 an hour, and they're running a portfolio of 400 or more doors under management. So I'm not sure how big your management business is, or your personal portfolio, but mine, I could say, is running, I've got multiple doors, so a pretty decent portfolio. And if you heard my podcast or seen my other stuff, I kind of go into that a little bit more. But yeah, that's good for you, man. Good for you. Definitely try it out. And if you need to talk with me more online, I welcome that. I more than welcome that. Part of this, I want to meet more people. I want to see who you are. And I'm all about Tony Robbins. The secret to living is giving. The more that I could give to the universe and world, the more it reciprocates and give back to me. It's a win-win-win for all. So let me share. I think there's a few more slides. Like I said, if you need one-on-one time with me, I could share some of the feedback on VA companies. You could meet with me, or I'd be happy to speak with you at your event. I've been asked to speak at investor clubs, realtor brokerages, webinars, seminars. I'd love to. Like I said, I'm pretty open book. Secret to living is giving. And if you're of the abundance mindset, you're the person I definitely want to meet. And I'd like to help you. I'd like to help your company. I'd like to help your team. And let's see if there's a potential fit. If you're thinking about investing, I am an investor. If you sat in my last training, you could find on YouTube. I taught people how to find more deals, how to find more listings. I will teach you. And this is part of why I'm having this training, because I have a lot of people that are coach clients or agents or investors that might need that training. You could hire me as your new mentor. growwithjoemendoza.com. Follow me, subscribe. Instagram, it's Coach Joe Mendoza. If you're a big IG user, you could reach with me over there. I do have a club, Sanjeev. If you're into investing, you might want to get in my club, Commercial Real Estate Investor Club. You could find me on YouTube, as I mentioned. And again, vajobsonline.com. I could go way, way, way deep. Probably I might have to set up more trainings on that website, that platform, VA jobs, virtual assistant jobs, plural, online.com. Check it out. That's what I use. That's how I found my current 4 amazing VAs. If you're like, no, Joe, you know what? I need the companies, contact me. DM me on one of those platforms. Connect with me. I'll share with you some of the reputable, and I mean reputable, companies that I like. Open book, who I work with, who I refer business to, and I've trusted them. They've done very, very well for me. But also, if you use one of these companies, go back to that other slide I mentioned, lessons learned, because on those lessons learned, if you don't implement what I shared, you're probably selling yourself very, very short. And why? Maybe you're still not making this thing click and having success. I would recommend to that lessons learned alone will help you have tremendous success in that. Let me see if I missed anything else. Oh, I did. Other books, E-Myth, Michael Gerber, Traction, Gino Wickman, MREA by Gary Keller, 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss. These are some books I highly, highly recommend. If you're looking to live the laptop lifestyle, if you're looking to work overseas yourself and like keep your business in America going, I know some people are moving to Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, other countries, Philippines, and still running their business here. Well, you might want to read the 4-Hour Work Week, Traction, MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. These are books I love that I share to a lot of my coaching clients. You could pick them up on Amazon. Save the date, guys. So I am, as long as you guys keep showing up, you guys keep participating. I love it. A lot of you are staying to the very end. So it must be pretty good. So I'm thankful that you guys are here. I'm thankful that you guys are asking questions and in the chat and Q&A. How to get more time out of each day. If you're still solo, this one is definitely for you, because this one was a little more advanced. Maybe we still need to maximize your day. Maybe we have some deficiencies in your calendar that we need to address that I could help you out with, or your mentor, your coach, your broker owner. You have somebody that you lean on for mentorship. Well, I could promise you everybody has 24 hours in a day. However, I guarantee you, some of you are wasting time or not using your time wisely. This one's for you. Go to joemendozafreeclass.com. It's already online. You could register today after this one. As I mentioned, the secret to living is giving. I want to add incredible value and looking for the world, you guys to reciprocate. I see a couple more questions in the chat and Q&A. Let me jump in there to see if there's anything else. Sanjeev, thank you so much. I'd love to meet with you one-on-one. Oh, wow. Okay. Now I remember. Yes. Yeah, hopefully you say hi to Mr. Padilla. Really good friends with him. We text back and forth still. He's a great guy, Hector. If you're watching, big shout out. Yeah. Wow. Okay. 100 units. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Sanjeev, love that you're here. Love to meet with you again sometime soon. Take care. You're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure. All right. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, feel free to use a chat to Q&A, guys. Yeah, love it. Love it. Bernadette, thank you. I really, really appreciate you guys so much helping out my clients. You guys are definitely one of the companies I mentioned and talked about throughout this whole training. And I will refer you guys more and more if people need help. And there's a lot of people that do. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Take care. Wish you well. I don't want to steal too much of your time, because time is money. Time is valuable. And I could give you all your time back. I'm going to sit here a few more minutes. If there's no other chats or Q&A, I'm just about done, guys. So if you want to say something else, we're pretty much done. And I planned for 2 hours. So we were short about 15 minutes. So good. And I'll give it about 1 more minute and I'm going to shut this down. I'll double check the chat and Q&A if there's nothing else. And if you guys are closely watching, and I'm not afraid to say, yes, I have dry lips sometimes. I got to drink more water. Yep. Dry lips and chapstick. I'm human. All right. Anything else? Yeah, I'd be happy to speak at your meetup or event. Let me know. I'd love to be there. I'm open book. Anything you heard here, I'd love to share. You could check out. I know a lot. I've trained on a lot of different things. It's just my passion for sure, is one of those things that I love to give. I just give and give and give. Yeah, please let me know. Let me know. Give me some dates in advance and I'd speak on this. I'd speak on any other topic you want. You could check out my podcast. You could check out my YouTube. I've read tons and tons of books. Some of my clients, believe it or not, They coach and stay with me a long, long time. I think the record right now I have is 8 years, literally, and I could share who they are. Jonathan and Sarah, big shout out. You know who you are. They've been with me 8 years, long, long time. So yes, I'd love to. Sanjeev, I'd love to. Let me know. Let me know. All right. So that's about it. I want to give you your time back. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have been incredible. I really, really gratefully love, respect all of you. Have an incredible day. Secret to living is giving. Take care. God bless. We'll see you soon. Take care. And register for my next class. Bye-bye.